All right, if you could follow along as I read to you this selection called Benjamin Bunny. This is going to get you ready for your ELA state test. We don't know the date, so we're going to do some practice to get you geared up for that test. Okay, whenever I see where my cursor is 1, that means if they're asking in the question later, 1, that they're asking paragraph 1. That's where you will get your information. Okay, so that's why you see these numbers indicating the paragraph. Whenever you see a word underline, they're probably going to ask it in a question later, indicating it's an important vocabulary word. Okay. One morning, a little rabbit sat on a bank. He pricked his ears and listened to the trit trot of a pony. A wagon was coming along the road. It was driven by Mr. McGregor, and beside him sat Mrs. McGregor in her best bonnet. Paragraph 2. As soon as they had passed, little Benjamin Bunny slid down into the road and set off with a hop, skip, and a jump to call upon his relations who lived in the wood at the back of Mr. McGregor's garden. That wood was full of rabbit holes, and in the neatest, sandiest hole of all lived Benjamin's aunt and his cousins, Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. Old Mrs. Rabbit earned her living by knitting rabbit wool mittens and muffatees. She also sold herbs and rosemary tea and lavender. He came round the back of the fir tree and nearly tumbled upon the top of his cousin Peter. Paragraph 5. Peter was sitting by himself. He looked poorly and was dressed in a red cotton pocket handkerchief. Peter, said little Benjamin in a whisper, who's got your clothes? Peter replied, the scarecrow in Mr. McGregor's garden, and described how he had been chased about the garden and had dropped his shoes and coat. Little Benjamin sat down beside his cousin and assured him that Mrs. McGregor had gone out in a wagon and Mrs. McGregor also, and certainly for the day because she was wearing her best bonnet. At this point, old Mrs. Rabbit's voice was heard inside the rabbit hole calling, Cottontail, Cottontail, fetch some more chamomile. Peter said he thought he might feel better if he went for a walk. They went away hand in hand and got upon the flat top of the wall at the bottom of the wood. From here they looked down into Mr. McGregor's garden. Peter's coat and shoes were plainly to be seen upon the scarecrow, topped with an old hat of Mr. McGregor's. Little Benjamin said, it spoils people's clothes to squeeze under a gate. The proper way to get in is to climb down a pear tree. Peter fell down head first, but it was of no consequence, as the bed below was newly raked and quite soft. It had been sown with lettuces. They left a great many odd little footmarks all over the bed, especially little Benjamin, who was wearing clogs. Little Benjamin said that the first thing to be done was to get back Peter's clothes, in order that they might be able to use the pocket handkerchief. They took them off the scarecrow. There had been rain during the night, there was water in the shoes, and the coat was somewhat shrunk. Then he suggested that they should fill the pocket handkerchief with onions as a little present for his aunt. Peter didn't seem to be enjoying himself. He kept hearing noises. Little Benjamin said that it was not possible to get back up the pear tree with a load of vegetables. He led the way boldly towards the other end of the garden. They went along a little walk on planks under a sunny red brick wall. The mice sat on their doorsteps, cracking cherry stones. They winked at Peter Rabbit and little Benjamin Bunny. Presently, Peter let the pocket handkerchief go again. They got amongst flower pots and frames and tubs. Peter heard noises worse than ever. His eyes were as big as lollipops. Wonderful simile there. He was a step or two in front of his cousin when he suddenly stopped. This is what those little rabbits saw around that corner. Little Benjamin took one look, and then in half a minute less than no time, he hid himself and Peter and the onions underneath a large basket. The cat got up and stretched herself and came and sniffed at the basket. All right, we'll meet back up again as we do some practice here on questions regarding this passage. Hopefully you liked it.